Okay, so this is the startup checklist for the Bell 505. I kind of made my own checklist based on some of my own needs, and then taken lots, of course, from the 505 flight manual. So flight plan I've filed with my company. Weight and balance I've already done. The weight and balance is also in the Garmin on startup, so I also do that in the Garmin's. The GPS, my GPS unit, I just use a Garmin InReach Explorer Plus. It provides a lot better flight following than like my transponder does, and it's quite a bit cheaper than some of the like other ones like Spider Tracks. So that's my GPS. So I've turned that on to tracking mode. Tie downs, covers, and ground handling device. So I walk around the helicopter, make sure that none of the cover kits are on, ground handling wheels, or my tug is not hooked up. The main rotor blades are offset, which tells me that I do not have my main rotor blade tie downs on. So I always make sure that they're offset before I start the helicopter. Seat belts are all on. Doors are all latched. Flight crew seats are in the forward position. In the co-pilot seat here, I just have some ballast bags. These are 50 pounds each. I have two of them. They're so 100 pounds total. They're actually wakeboarding ballast bags. The 505 is really tail heavy, so I put these in the front so that I'm kind of right in the middle. For CG, I like being right in the middle when I fly. So cyclic, collective, and pedal. So I just check for freedom of travel and all my controls here. Pedals look good. Okay, now I've got a bit of a top-down approach here. So I go here, start at the top. Rotor brake is up and latched. Fuel shutoff has not been used. Compass is clean. My standby is clean. My Garmin screens are clean. The vent is closed. Interior lights off. Set to defog. Bleed air is closed. My panel light dimmer is set to auto. Hydraulics are on. Engines off. Pitot heaters off. Position lights are off. Anti-collision lights are on. I always leave them in the on position because if I ever leave the helicopter and I've left the master battery switch on, I'll walk away and hopefully see the strobe going off, and that's my cue that I've left the battery on. So I always leave that on just as a check to make sure the helicopter battery is not on. PFD, MFD is set to normal. Generator is off. Battery is off. My air conditioner blower is off. My electronics that plugs into 28 volt socket here is unplugged. Fire extinguisher is secured. Landing lights off. My throttle switch is set to idle, and my co-pilot switch is set to idle. So now what I do is I turn the battery on and I put my headsets on. Okay, there we go. So battery is on. Check to make sure that all my maps and databases are all up to date. So I'll hit OK there. This is the exceedances page, so make sure that there's no exceedances on the last.
Traffic, 12 o'clock, same altitude, less than 1 mile.
Okay, that's my TCAS. That's annoying right now. Pointed at the runway, so that's why that's going off. Okay, so no exceedances. So we're waiting for the engine out radio. It won't let me do any of the tests until the engine out radio comes on. We do have to do the weight and balance. So this had already been preset from my last flight, which was a solo flight. So that all looks good. Okay, audio test, chip test, fire test. So I was looking for the RPM light.
Engine
the avionics
out.
fan went
ECU
off. Chip
fail.
test is good. Fire test is good. Now just waiting for all
150.
the horns to go off.
Engine fire.
Okay, that's good. Fuel quantity. So we've got full fuel, but really I'm just checking to make sure that it's sufficient for a start. So we got 575 pounds here. That's more than enough. Throttle. So I'm going to throw mine in fly. I throw my co-pilots in fly, and I'm looking for the dual fly cast message. You don't want that on when you're flying. You only ever really want one of the throttles on. So now I'll go throw the co-pilots back in idle. The cast message goes out.
HTOS test, OK.
And I'll put mine back to idle as well. Okay, cast messages. So I'm looking for 4 cast messages here, red ones, 1 yellow one, and 1 green one. So I've got engine oil pressure low, that one's okay to have on. Fuel pressure is okay to have on. Transmission oil pressure is okay. Engine out is okay. Generator is off, and weight on gear. So those are the 6 that are okay in order to start. Now I'm just going to take a look around. Rotors are clear. Area is clear. Battery voltage is above 25.7 for a start, so we're sitting at 26.0, so that's
Tower
good.
926 trainers with you on simulated ILS 3.
Okay, we'll just turn off tower there for a second. Okay. So where were we? Okay, so we're going to turn the flight timer on. So that goes on, and we're going to start the engine. So here we go. Okay, so always keeping an eye on the MGT and the NG. So MGT is increasing, NG is increasing, engine oil pressure is alive. I can see the blades turning in my peripherals. Keep an eye on an MGT, still increasing, NG is still increasing. NG is over 40, waiting for it to go over 50, so now it's over 50, and now the starter message should go out. Starter message is out, MGT is coming down. NG is still increasing. Transmission oil pressure is in the green. Transmission temperature is in the green. Engine oil pressure is in the green. And engine oil temp is in the yellow. Just my buddy that parks beside me over there is going out for a flight, it looks like. Okay, good. So now we're going to turn the generator on. We're at 63 plus or minus 5 on the rotor and engine matching. So turn the generator on. We picked up a load. Our battery voltage is reading 28 plus or minus 0.5, which is good. We're going to turn the hydraulics off and do an initial hydraulics check here. So that's off. Turn it back on. We were just looking for a jump in the controls there. External power. We don't have external power for our start today, so I don't have to worry about that. Temperatures and pressure, so everything's in the green except for the rotor RPM, which is okay, and the engine oil temp is not in the green. As long as it's above 10 degrees Celsius, you can go to fly. If it's not above 10, you just wait and idle until it warms up. So we're okay here, so we're going to go to fly. Waiting for an RPM horn. There we go. So that's just an RPM horn on the way up to make sure that's working. So rotors are matching at 104, which is what we want. We just make sure that the ELT did not inadvertently transmit, which it is not. Now we're going to do our secondary hydraulics check. So hydraulics go off, and I do little X patterns with my cyclic. There we go. Little collective movement. That's okay. And now hydraulics go back on. And now after the hydraulics go back on, I always do just little X movements afterwards just to make sure that I haven't forgotten to put the hydraulics back on. I really wouldn't want to take off with the hydraulics off. Pitot heater, we're going to turn that on. Make sure we pick up a load. Pitot heater cast message comes on. Today we don't need it based on the temperature and no forecast precipitation, so we'll turn the pitot heater off. Standby, so I just check the standby. This is if I was doing a night flight. I just go to info, check the battery level, so it's sitting at 99% right now. You want to make sure that it's above 50 if you're doing a night flight. And of course, depending on how long, but so we'll just exit out of that. Anti-collision lights are on, position lights are on. We'll turn our landing light on because I know it's going to get a little bit darker. We're doing an evening flight here, so it'll get a little dark. I'm going to plug my electronic stuff in, so I got my iPad charging here. Radios, so we'll set the radios in a second. Transponder code, so I phoned in for flight planning. They gave me my transponder code. Make sure that I remember it correctly. I think it's 4634, but they'll let us know if I got the wrong one. Okay. Okay, altimeter, they're going to give us the altimeter, but why don't we just go and check here and see, we'll put the one in that's reading on the METAR, and at least we'll be close, 299.6. Okay, and everything is in the green, which is good. CAS messages look good, so let's switch to clearance here and give them a call to get out of here.
Okay, Alpha 1 and to the right.
Okay, here we go. So we got clearance on. And one of the really nice things about the 505 is you can put...
and Edmonton ground, Morningstar 77, you ready for pushback on the Romeo?
You can do all your flight planning in ForeFlight here. And
Morningstar 7070, stand by one.
And then you can send it to the Garmin screen so that it's all in your Garmin. So it makes it super easy to do flight planning. So I love that feature. Okay. Edmonton clearance, this is Helicopter Golf Juliet Yankee Whiskey.
Okay, West 926 trainer.
Golf Juliet Whiskey Yankee, Yankee Whiskey, Edmonton clearance.
Clearance, Golf Juliet Yankee Whiskey, we're on apron 6, squawking 4634. We're looking for a west departure, right-hand turnout, 3,300 and below to Edmonton.
Juliet Yankee Whiskey, Roger, wind 350 at 4, altimeter's 299.7. Contact tower ready for lift on 1183 and request, make that exact same request with tower.
1183 for Juliet Yankee Whiskey, thank you.
Ground Core 3125 taxi.
Okay, so let's switch to tower here. Edmonton Tower, this is Helicopter Golf Juliet Yankee Whiskey.
Golf Juliet Yankee Whiskey, Edmonton Tower, good day, westbound departure with the right turn to the city, wind 360 at 3, takeoff, discretion apron 6. And what's your planned up on altitude?
We'll be 3,300 and below for Juliet Yankee Whiskey.
Roger.
Okay, so we'll pick her up into a hover here. Not an into the wind hover or pick up here, so we'll turn her into the wind. So we're just looking to make sure our power setting looks good, center of gravity feels good, and we'll just move away from this Challenger over here. Beautiful airplane, Challenger 300. Okay, and then we'll make our departure here. Okay, nobody on the runway, or on the taxiway, nobody on the runway. So we're looking to get to 50 knots. There's 50, and then we can pull it up into the climb. And climb speed in the 505 is 60 knots. So we kind of look for 50 by the time we actually pull the nose up.
Yankee Whiskey Tower identified, confirm 2,400 feet on the climb.
2,600 now for Yankee Whiskey. Okay, and we're just going to switch to our traffic map here. So, yeah, so by keeping under 3,300 when we're around Edmonton here, then we don't have to talk to terminal airspace. So,
Encore 3125, short 02 at Alpha, all set.
Encore 3125, tower line up runway 02.
Line up 02, Encore 3125.
Juliet Yankee Whiskey Tower, remain west of the runway 02 departure path at all times.
West of 02 departure for Juliet Yankee Whiskey. Yeah, so it keeps us out of the VT airspace. So once we get another, I don't know, 4 miles or so here, maybe not even, then tower will clear us, and then we can go buzz around the city for a little bit.
2125 tower on departure.
Tower Juliet Yankee Whiskey down with there, Airport 6.
Juliet Yankee Whiskey Tower, Roger. Do you want your flight plan close?
Negative. I just have an itinerary with the company here.
Okay, have a nice night.
Juliet Yankee Whiskey. Thank you.
Target 1423 Tower, zip Bravo 1, taxied in by Bravo to Tango, monitor ground 121.
Okay, this is the shutdown procedure, so I kind of went ahead and did a little...
Bravo Tango, monitor 217 Alpha.
Went ahead and did a little
sooner there. So throttle we turned to idle, landing light we turned off, RPM warning we just muted that. MGT, so we'll go to the engine page here, monitor the MGT. We have the OK to shut down CAS message. As long as that comes on, we can shut down. So generator off, and we'll shut down here. And
Engine out. Engine.
Bunch of horns here that I have to mute while this thing's shut down. Okay, so engine shut down. We muted all the warnings. Rotor brake you can use if you want to. I don't really like to use it, so we just let the blades stop on their own. Battery can go off.
ECU.
Okay, and then just make sure all the ancillary things are off. So I kind of set it back up to, as best as I can remember, the flight, for the startup procedure. So closed, off, defog, close the bleed air, off, on, normal, off, blowers off, electronics are unplugged. Turn off my GPS flight following, so stop tracking and turn it off. There we go. And everything else is good, so the only other thing I have to do is check the oil level in the engine. So that has to be checked within 15 minutes post-flight for the oil level. Otherwise, the oil sinks down into the sump and you don't get an accurate reading.